Welcome to the Masterclass. My name is Emma Seppälä. I'm a psychologist, a research scientist, a best-selling author. I teach leaders at the Yale School of Management, and I'm the science director of the Stanford University's Center for Compassion and Altruism Research and Education. My passion is helping people lead happier, more sovereign lives, which is why I've written 2 best-selling books on the topic, The Happiness Track, and my most recent book, Sovereign. I hope you enjoy this masterclass. I'm going to talk today a little bit about the science of relationships. We enter relationships all of our lives from childhood until old age, friend relationships, work relationships, intimate relationships, etc. But we never actually learn how to relate to others in a successful way. So I'm going to start with the story of my friend Etel. She is a human rights activist, environmental expert and activist. And she was in Africa in a country where she was bringing greater awareness about the fact that a rubber company there was creating a lot of deforestation, which was creating environmental and humanitarian problems. And so she was located deep sort of in the woods in this area where this rubber company was, when suddenly her driver disappeared. And instead of her driver, the people she was with were insisting that she get into a car with 2 muscle-strapped gentlemen who had army military gear on, and she had no other options. But this was suspicious because the rubber company had offered kickbacks to the government. So the government of this country was obviously had an interest in maintaining the rubber company's success in that country. And so these men were most probably going to kidnap her, probably kill her. And yet here she was in the middle of the jungle, nowhere to go, nothing to do other than enter this vehicle with these gentlemen, which she did. And in the process of the 3 hours that it needed for her to get to the airport, she was able to not only convince these gentlemen not to kill her, but to develop a really profound relationship with them, which led them to save her life, to share their snacks with her, to take care of her. And when they dropped her off at the airport, they said to her, "You're not safe in this country. Do not come back. But if you come back, you should come and stay with us, and you should come and be under our protection." What happened here? How did Etel save her own life with these men who were paid to do away with her? And how did they become not only her saviors, but her protectors? Etel has something called positive relational energy. Now, the field of positive leadership, positive organizational scholarship has looked into this aspect, and I'm going to share a little bit of the science with you now. So my colleague Kim Cameron and others were looking at organizations as large networks, large groups of people, and just to see where is it that there's a more success in the organization. And they found that there were these areas within these large networks that were super productive, not just a little bit more productive, but much, much more productive. What was going on here? So what Kim did was actually look a little bit deeper, and what he and his colleagues found was that at the center of each of these super productive areas was one person. And I remember the conversation I had with him where he said, "Emma, it's a little bit embarrassing almost to describe the person this way, but we have no other language than to say that they have positive energy." And what he meant by that is that this one person brought life to others, was life supportive, was energy enhancing, and somehow brought greater well-being to the people around that person, and in so doing catapulted the success, the productivity of that group. Now, the question is, how did they do that? And when Kim and his colleagues looked a little further, what they found was that those individuals, by communicating and interacting with others in such a life-supportive way, were enhancing other people's well-being, as such catapulting the success, the productivity. Now, what was going on here exactly? And what Kim found was that the way that these people interact with others is very values-based. So these people have honesty, integrity, kindness, generosity, empathy, humility. but they also are able to bring greater joy around them. Now, I want you to think in your own life. Have you noticed that there's certain relationships or people that when you're around them, when you leave their company, you feel more tired, maybe more drained or depleted? And yet there are these other individuals, when you're around them, you feel more enlivened, you feel inspired, enthusiastic when you leave their presence. What's the difference? One of them is a positively energizing person, right? The second type of person. The first person is more of a de-energizer. And so what Kim saw was that in these companies, these certain individuals who have this ability to enhance other people's life, their energy, their enthusiasm, they are the ones who are creating this incredible effect around them, kind of like a sun, like the sun. I think of these people as sunshine people. Kim often talks about how plants are attracted to sunlight, and we're the same as humans. We have this same desire to be around people who are life supportive for us. So the question is, well, how do we become a sunshine person? How do we become a positively energizing individual? And when you look at the science, what you see is that not only do these people use values and in all of their work and all of their relationships, where they are kind, they're compassionate, they're humble, they're generous, they have integrity and honesty. Because think about it, when you're around someone who has those values, how do you feel? How do you feel when you're around someone who has a lot of integrity or honesty? You feel safe. And fundamentally, our greatest need after food and shelter is to feel safe. We need to feel that we are with a person that is predictable, where we know where things stand. When that person's also compassionate and kind, we not only feel safe, we feel valued, we feel seen, we feel heard. Every human being wants to feel safe, seen, heard, valued, appreciated. And someone who's a positively energizing person allows others to do that, to feel valued, to feel safe, to feel heard and seen, to feel appreciated. So that's one of the key aspects of how to become a positively energizing human being. But this is one of the key things about this, is that when you engage in this way with others, it not only benefits them, it benefits you. Your energy is going to rise as well as theirs. It's a positive feedback loop. So traditional forms of energy, the way we think of it as like physical energy or maybe emotional energy, they get drained over time, right? There's a point when you're tired. But this positive relational energy further enhances your own well-being. You'll notice when you have an interaction with someone, it could be someone at the cash register, someone on a walk, someone you don't even know. But if you have this minute or 2 minute exchange where you're sharing a joke or saying something nice, you'll notice that you leave that interaction feeling so much better. There's a psychologist called Barbara Fredrickson who studied these micro moments of joy, these micro moments of interaction, of love with another person, even someone you don't know, where you've exchanged something that has uplifted you both. So that's one strategy that you can implement in your own life every day, in multiple little ways. And those micro moments add up to boosting your energy. Now, and that of those around you. Sometimes we think, I'm just this one person, what difference can I make? And yet there's such a difference you can make. One person can make such a difference all around them. Etel, going back to my friend Etel, she's such a positive energizer. She has done so much work in the world, has done so much for the environment and for human rights, that she was recently awarded knighthood by the government of France for the extraordinary work that she has done. And it really does start with her being such a positive energizer. Now, what's the other aspect of being a positive energizer? The other aspect is that positive energizers know how to fill their own cup. And oftentimes there are a lot of people out there doing a lot of good in the world. Then they find themselves drained and they don't know why, but they feel like they can't keep going. What's going on here? They've forgotten to fill their own tank. They have forgotten that in order to really show up at their best potential, they have to also take the best of care of themselves. Now, I want you to think back on maybe a cringe-worthy moment that you had, perhaps a cringe-worthy moment not long ago, something that you did that was a big mistake or very embarrassing in some way. And I want you to think back on what were the words that you said to yourself in those moments. If you're like any of the hundreds of students that I've taught, the kinds of words that you would use would be quite self-critical. Like, you're such an idiot. Why did you do that? You always do that. You're a loser. And the list goes on. And think about how it feels to even hear those sentences. It's depleting. It's de-energizing. Do you see that? So the question is, do we have an energizing or de-energizing relationship with our own selves? Now, if you want to be a positive energizer, you have to also have a positively energizing relationship with yourself. I want you to think back on your best friend or your favorite human, right? Your favorite human calls you right after you listen to this video, and they call you and they say, oh my gosh, I just made this horribly cringeworthy, terrible mistake. And I'm so embarrassed, I'm so ashamed, and so forth. What are the words you use to speak to them? Are they the same kinds of words you would use to speak to yourself? That's highly doubtful. If you're, again, like any of the students I've taught, the kinds of words that you would use to talk to them would be, everyone makes mistakes. It's no big deal. You got this. You did your best. No one will even remember this in a few days. Forget about it. You're doing awesome, right? Positively energizing words, affirming words. You're seen, you're heard, you're valued, you're appreciated, you're okay. So thinking about that, the way that we relate to ourselves very much influences how we relate to others. And in fact, research shows that when we tend to be more self-compassionate, we end up having better relationships with other people. Makes sense, right? If you're very, very hard on yourself, think about it. How hard are you on the people you love the most? Your children, your partner, etc. Chances are the same severity with which you talk to yourself, you will use with your most loved ones, hurting the people that you least want to hurt, right? So some tips for you to think about for today. What are ways in which I can use my micro moments in my life with people that I know and don't know to fill their bucket, to fill their tank, to uplift them? And in that moment, I'm also uplifting myself. And secondly, what's my relationship with myself? Is it energizing or depleting? If it's depleting, what are some ways I can energize myself? How can I change how I talk to myself? Recognizing that self-critical voice and flipping it around. Finding a self-compassion mantra, like, you're okay. The one that I like to use is, you did the best that you could. And that's just something I pull out of my pocket when I need to. But also, am I taking care of my body? Am I resting enough? Am I taking time to not be stressed? We live in a world and a time when we're constantly running this, I need to be stressed to get things done program. If that's the case for you, question that, because the science flies in the face of that. There is absolutely no science showing that you're going to get more done and be successful over the long run by being stressed. On the contrary, we're seeing so much burnout because so many people have bought into this myth. So taking good care of your own self. And finally, something that I do every single day, because I've done a lot of research on it, is breathing practices. They really fill my tank. And our research, both with veterans, with students, with adults, has shown that when we engage in certain breathing practices, they can not only calm our nervous system, but they can heal trauma. They can increase our well-being, our psychological health. So I'm going to end this video with a real short breathing practice, just a real elementary one. But the research that we conducted was on a longer breathing protocol called Sky Breath Meditation, which I highly recommend you look into. It's offered by a nonprofit called Art of Living. And for veterans, it's offered by a nonprofit called Project Welcome Home Troops for veterans and military families. So I'm going to end with a short breathing practice just to give you a little flavor of what that can do for your mind and for your own well-being. So here we go. When you breathe in, your heart rate increases, and when you breathe out, it slows down. So what we're going to do in this exercise is we're going to start to exhale for longer than we inhale. And I want you to notice how you feel before and after. It's going to be just 2 or 3 minutes, but I want you to really notice the shift and the difference, because you will notice the difference. So let's start by closing our eyes. Or if you're not comfortable with your eyes closed, you can have them mostly shut, where you're just looking down at the floor. Have your hands on your lap, palms facing up. And now, if you can, breathe through the nose as you breathe in. Breathe in for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold at the top. And breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe in, long, deep breath in, filling your lungs all the way to the top. Hold. And breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe in, long, deep breath in through the nose if possible. Hold at the top. And breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe in. If you can, breathe through the nose only on the inhale and on the exhale. Hold at the top. And breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe in, long, deep breath in. Filling your lungs, hold at the top. And breathe out. If it's hard to breathe through the nose, breathe out through the mouth. But try and breathe in through the nose when you can. And again, breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold. And breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold. And breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And relax the breath. Keep your eyes closed. Come back to normal breath. Notice how you feel. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. I highly recommend using this breathing practice before a stressful meeting, before a big call, maybe as you transition from work to home or from home to work. You will notice that if you tune into your state of mind right before the breathing exercise, and again, right at the end, you'll notice there's a shift. And what happens is, as your nervous system calms down, you activate the parasympathetic, which is the part of your nervous system that's the opposite of the fight or flight. And in so doing, your mind becomes calmer. You come back to the present moment. You're able to show up in a way that's present for other people. Remember, to be positively energizing, you do have to be present. How often are people present with us these days? Rarely. You'll see that people are, their eyes are moving all over the place. They're not really listening, or they're on their phone, half listening. Think about, when was the last time someone was really, truly present with you? It's powerful. It's really powerful. It's energizing. Again, why? People feel seen, heard, valued, appreciated, seen. So I'll leave you with that. And I wish you all the best. And I really hope you take these techniques and use them. It's going to benefit you. It's going to benefit those around you. And in so doing, it will also continue to benefit you. And that's how we create a culture. That's how we spread positivity in our environment. I hope you enjoyed this masterclass. I have boiled down 20 years of researching, studying, and teaching the science of happiness at Yale and Stanford into my first public online course starting January 25th, 2025. I hope to see you there. All the details are below.